Hello and welcome to the January 3rd edition of the Gold, Goats, and Guns Short News. My name is Tom Luongo. We've got a lot to talk about. Today I want to talk about Tucker Carlson. So, Tucker Carlson went on Fox News last night, opened up a show with a beautiful diatribe, starting with Mitt Romney and then effectively crucifying everybody who is part of the architecture of our societal, economic, cultural malaise. Ties it up beautifully. It's actually really a lovely statement by him. And I think that this might truly be the moment that he arrives as a social commentator. He's been watching Tucker for years, getting to this point. There's things in this rant that he went on last night. I'll put a link in somebody else. Watch it for yourselves. But there's things in it that I don't fundamentally agree with in terms of terminology, but I do agree with everything he's saying. Now, let's get one thing out of the way before we get into what he talked about, which is that, well, I can already see it on Twitter. The left is coming out against him as being anti-women and, trust fund boy and all of this stuff, that he's terrified of women and all of this, and his critique of our society falling apart at the family unit. And that's, of course, rotten nonsense, but that's what they're going to use. And they're going to use that to pressure Fox to get rid of him. Because when someone becomes as woke as Carlson has become at this level, saying these things with the platform that he has in the current environment, he has to be crucified. He has to be taken down. He has to be removed. I remember back when Judge Napolitano gave his Imagine This speech on Freedom Watch, which was at the time the best rated show by far, by an order of magnitude, on Fox Business Channel, which is a useless channel otherwise. And in effect, during that rant, he endorsed Ron Paul for president. 36 hours later, he no longer had a show. No one was upset about it, other than the powers that be at Fox and the powers that be behind the scenes. So understand that Carlson's has put himself in a very dangerous position, showing the kind of moral courage that Donald Trump cannot seem to muster. And Trump pulling back on his, going back and walking back his pullout of troops from Syria after having a discussion with Lindsey Graham is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Trump has no moral courage, while Carlson knows exactly what he's doing. He knows saying the things he's saying right now as advertisers are leaving his show is a recipe for him to lose his platform. And that takes moral courage. It takes the kind of courage that he wants in our leadership, but he'll never get it. And I think part of him knows that, but he doesn't care, because the consequences from his perspective and from mine are too dreadful to just sit back and watch it happen. Tucker Carlson is absolutely right when he critiqued the modern our political discourse by separating economics from culture. He's absolutely right. Economics is culture. What is economics but the study of human behavior, the study of human action, as Mises would put it? Those libertarians that he criticized so strenuously in his rant, which is fine. Don't take it personally. But in economics is the study of human action. It's the study of what we do. And therefore, economics and our economic actions define who we are. So, economics at its core, at its basics, is bloody. It's in the blood. It is culture. And so, one of the defining theses of Gold, Goats, and Guns is that a corrupt money begets a corrupt society. I've said this before. So if Our economic actions define who we are as people, and people respond to incentives, and our economic system and our corrupt monetary system creates perverse incentives. Why would we expect to get anything other than a perverse society? A society that, as Carlson put it, worships finance over productivity, that worships shareholders over families, that tells women to go out and achieve like a little Lebowski as opposed to be a mom. This is what happens when you create a society based around a corrupt money that ultimately, over time, corrupts the institutions of culture itself, corrupts the family, sets perverse incentives within the family structure itself, pays people to not get married, pays people to not take care of their parents, to offload and offshore all of your responsibility as children and as parents to the state, which the state is all too happy to take on because, well, that arrogates more power to them. Pays an entire class of voters to continue to vote for more of that. Carlson's critique is a cry for the return to first principles. It's a beautiful thing. We're seeing the process of retraditionalization, as Reverend Steve Turley puts it in his channel, in Russia, where they're building 3 churches a day, and here in the United States, 10 churches a month or whatever it is, some number like that, are closing. Russia's building churches every day, and ours are shutting down. Tells you where we're going. The Russians are buying more gold on a monthly basis. The Central Bank of Russia is buying more gold on a monthly basis than the Russian economy produces, in order to undergird and create a stable foundation for the Russian monetary system. Just to give you an idea, the 2 directions that we're going. Whereas here in the United States, we create hundreds of ounces of fake paper gold for every ounce of actual gold in existence. And gold, as a money, is incorruptible. I bring this up before. It's why this is called gold, goats, and guns. Gold is a money, carries no counterparty risk, has no debt associated. You have it, you own it, it's yours. It creates consumer sovereignty, so that then consumers with uncorrupted money, I'm not just saying gold here, but gold is an example of an uncorrupted, is one that can then make decisions that are potentially less corrupt. Principles cannot emerge. First principles and return to first cannot emerge amidst such systemic corruption. It's not possible. I wish it was. And our leaders have no incentive to inform the system, and he knows that, to reform the system, and he knows this, even though he cries out for it over and over and over again, lambasting our leaders, which are terrible people, vile people. And I urge anybody on the left who's listening to this to get past his critique of women earning more than men. That's not what this is about. Men lose their purpose when they're not the leaders of households. My wife and I have been through this, times where she's been the husband. She hated it. She was all modern and feminist when she was younger. Then I was unemployed and she had to carry the weight of the family on her shoulders. She hated every minute of it. And a lot of women do too. They don't like it when they have to support their men. They'll do it for a short period of time. But that's not the role. That's the man's role. That's what he's built for. That's what he's built to take. Like it or not, sexual dimorphism is not a social construct of the patriarchy. It simply is reality. And it's a survival strategy that's been honed over millions of years. Carlson's right to critique it. Y'all are insane for being triggered over our trying to find a way to redefine the roles between men and women, as Jordan Peterson talks about all the time, in the context of modern technology. And until we are willing to actually engage this conversation at the proper level, until we stop knee-jerk reacting over terminology. Carlson, for example, yells at libertarians for saying that market capitalism is not a religion. Well, the problem is that we don't practice market capitalism in this. But I'm not going to get angry with him about that. I just know that what he means is that our version of market capitalism, which is corporatism, which both the left and the right and the libertarian right hate, is what the system is. It doesn't matter what you call it. But the criticism is bad. And we should not be triggering each other and shutting each other off from communication if we want a return to sustainable, uncorrupted society that, I'm not sure what the form will look like, but certainly will look better than the one we have currently, as opposed to falling on each other, screaming at each other, while the thieves who created this system get away with everything. That's the problem. This has been the Gold Ghosts and Guns short news for Thursday, January 3rd, 2019. If you like what you heard today, please give a like and subscribe down below. That'd be great. You can follow my work over TFL1728 on Twitter and over at my blog at tomluongo.me. And if you want, you can donate. You can become a subscriber over at Patreon, at least for the time being, until I've decided how I'm going to deal with this otherwise. You guys take care. You have a great afternoon. We'll talk soon. Keep your stick on the ice.